Why is that so? Because regular training is an absolute must for sustained growth and continuously improved performance in business as well as in personal life. And I'm sure all of you would agree with me. It is so critical, so crucial in today's world that one has to have very, very strong hold on finance. And for that, we have to keep on continuously training ourselves. How crucial, how critical training is, let me start with a small anecdote and then we would continue. बहुत पुराने समय की बात है. It's something that happened long time ago in an interior part of India. There was this gentleman who was 7 feet tall, very strongly built. Unfortunately, he did not have any qualification, and therefore he was not able to get any job. So one day he got frustrated. He said, "This place is not for me. I'm going to leave this place." So he decided to leave that place and he started walking towards the forest. वो जंगल की तरफ जो उसने जाना शुरू किया. He kept on going, kept on going, kept on going, kept on going, kept on going. After a while, he came across a place where he saw few people were chopping trees. So he thought maybe this is the place where I can get a job. Now, by the way, friends, ये जो story मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, it is only as an example. We should never chop trees. We should never cut trees. Rather, we must plant more trees. So this gentleman thought that maybe this is the place where I can get a job. तो वहाँ जो contractor था उसके पास में गया and he asked him, "Sir, can you give me a job?" The contractor looked at this gentleman, 7 feet tall, very strongly built, और contractor ने अपने मन में सोचा कि अगर ये बंदा मेरे लिए काम करे तो ये तो इतने पेड़ काटेगा एक दिन में कि मेरी जो एबिडा है, मेरा जो प्रॉफिट है, वो ऑटोमेटिकली ऊपर जाएगा. तो he said, "Yes, of course I can give you a job. What can you do? Can you chop trees? Can you cut trees?" And the man said, "Sir, of course I can cut trees." So the contractor gave him an axe in his hand and asked him to go to forest and start cutting trees. तो आदमी ने कुल्हाड़ी ली और वो जंगल में गया and he started cutting trees. And lo and behold, on the very first day, he chopped 100 trees. The contractor was absolutely delighted. He said, "Wow, this is fantastic because 100 trees no one ever had done in the past. The maximum that somebody did in the past was just 50 trees." So the contractor was absolutely delighted. Second day, the man goes to the forest and he cuts only 70 trees. तो जब ये कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को मालूम पड़ा कि वो 100 से सीधे 70 पे आ गया है, the contractor was little disappointed. But then he said to himself, "Look, 70 is also not a bad number. And in any case, it is much higher than whatever maximum that anyone has done in the..." Hello?
Yeah, your voice is breaking in between. Maybe some bandwidth issue. So maybe sometime we can try with your video turned off. Let's see if it improves.
Sure, Sneha. Is it okay now? Is it fine?
Yeah, it's better.
Is better. Okay. So he said, "All right, 70 is also not a bad number." And he said, "Okay." The man goes to the forest on third day and he chops only 40 trees. Now when the contractor came to know of this, he was furious. He called the man and asked him, "What's wrong with you? On the first day, just to impress me, looks like you cut 100 trees. But today you are on the third day and you are cutting only 40 trees. Have you stopped working?" And the man said very sadly, he said, "No, sir, I have not stopped working. On the contrary, today, on the first day when I came, I worked only for 8 hours and I could cut 100 trees. Today, just to give you the same output of 100 trees, I have worked for 16 hours. But I don't know, I could only cut 40 trees. Sir, I have not stopped working. I am working harder." Now the contractor understood. He said, "Where is your axe?" The man went out, brought his axe and gave it to the contractor. Contractor looked at the edge of the axe and asked him, "When did you sharpen it?" And the man said, "Sir, what is sharpening. And in any case, sir, I did not have any time to do anything. I was so busy in chopping the trees. Friends, this is what exactly happens in the life of many of us. We tend to become so busy, so engrossed in our day to day working, in enjoying whatever we are good at. We become so engrossed that we forget to sharpen our axe. This program, friends, that we have is our opportunity of sharpening our axe. In today's world, it doesn't really matter as to what function do I come from. Am I coming from procurement? Am I coming from IT? Am I coming from marketing? Am I coming from international trade? Doesn't really matter. In today's world, is the understanding and knowledge of finance is absolutely so essential, and that's the reason my compliments to you for being part of this program. अब ये जो program है is going to be is going to be in 4 parts. So every day for 4 days we will have this session starting from 9:30. We would be discussing various aspects of finance uh, with respect, more with respect to the vendors, with respect to how to analyze the finances, the financial position, the standing of our vendors. So we are going to look at from that perspective. We have definite objective as far as this program is concerned. So as we all know, roughly about 85% cost of our vehicles comprise of parts that are procured from the suppliers. And obviously, therefore, the financial risk and stability of our supplier is of paramount importance to every one of us, because if 85% is cost is coming from the components that we procure from outside, obviously it becomes so very critical and crucial for every one of us to ensure that we are keeping track of our suppliers in a way so that there are no surprises as far as our function is concerned. What are the risks of vendors? How are they improving their business? Is something that we ought to know and be aware of continuing basis, and I'm sure all of you would definitely agree with me, and that is why we have this program. We also ought to know, because many times we give advances to our suppliers. We even part with our tools, jigs, dies, and fixtures, molds to our suppliers, and therefore there's a lot of risk involved, and it is एब्सोल्युटली नेसेसरी इन दैट केस कि हमारे जो सप्लायर हैं, हमारे जो वेंडर हैं, वो हमने जो उनको ऑर्डर दिया है उसके ऊपर फोकस करें, बजाय इसके कि हमारे रिसोर्सेज को वो कहीं और यूज़ करना शुरू करें, एंड वेयर देयर बाय डिप्राइविंग अस ऑफ रेगुलर सप्लाईज एज फार एज वी आर कंसर्न. So therefore we also need to know as to are the vendors diverting funds or our resources supplied to them elsewhere. So that is what we need to know from time to time. And of course there is another issue that we need to be aware of, that many times it would happen that supplier has raised an invoice on us. We have made the payment to the supplier including the amount of GST that he has invoiced to us. But what happens if the supplier does not pay the amount of GST that he has collected from us with the government authorities? What is going to happen is we will not be able to get credit of that GST which we have paid, and therefore it becomes also necessary for every one of us to ensure that our suppliers from time to time do the things, comply with the GST requirements in a way so that we are not denied of any GST credit to us. So friends, in this background, the prime objective of this program that we have is to empower ourselves with the requisite knowledge and understanding of finance, such that we are able to have a better handle and awareness about the financial performance and position of our vendors. So that is the prime objective of this workshop. Number two, the objective is also to help ourselves in sharpening our axe of finance to use it effectively in our day-to-day personal as well as professional life. And this is the program objective that we have, friends. I have designed this program exclusively, specifically for all of you in a way so that you are really able to handle gain a very good handle as far as finance is concerned. और मैं आपको बताऊं कि पूरी दुनिया में फाइनेंस के ऊपर प्रोग्राम देने के बाद, and I have been fortunate to have delivered my training programs in all parts of the world, Americas, Russia, Asia, Europe, Middle East, Africa, everywhere. And I have had the opportunity of interacting on finance with the nationalities of 60 different countries across the globe. And therefore, I can tell you, typically it's a myth. बहुत सारे लोगों को लगता है कि फाइनेंस इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड. बट द फैक्ट ऑफ लाइफ इज, अगर इस दुनिया में सबसे आसान कोई चीज़ समझने के लिए है तो वो है फाइनेंस. क्यों? पैसे की भाषा है, सबको समझती है, पढ़े को भी समझती है और अनपढ़ को भी समझती है, अनपढ़ को तो और भी ज़्यादा समझती है. एंड फ्रेंड्स, इफ़ यू एनालाइज, और अगर आप देखें तो आपको ध्यान में आएगा, द बेस्ट ऑफ द फाइनेंस विजार्ड्स that ever existed on this earth or are existing on this earth had never had any formal qualification in finance. Dhirubhai Ambani is not an MBA, not a chartered accountant. Bill Gates, we all know, is a college dropout, and we all know that these are the guys who are true wizards as far as finance is concerned. Friends, I am sure as we go on in this workshop for next 4 days, this is going to be your impression as well. I am sure all of you at the end of this workshop will have the same impression that finance is not all that difficult as it is made out to be. On the contrary, it is very interesting to understand, very interesting to follow, and also very interesting to apply in our day-to-day life. And this is how I have designed this program for all of you. Now, let me share with you कि हम ये 4 दिन में क्या क्या कवर करने वाले हैं और किस तरह से कवर करने वाले हैं. और मेरी जो अप्रोच है, मेरा जो आइडिया है इस प्रोग्राम के पीछे, वो ये है कि टू गिव यू अ कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव अंडरस्टैंडिंग एज फार एज फाइनेंस इज कंसर्न. और मेरा ये थॉट प्रोसेस है कि ये प्रोग्राम से आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग फाइनेंस के बारे में इतनी स्ट्रांग हो कि जो लोग कहते हैं कि फाइनेंस फॉर नॉन फाइनेंस, तो आपको लगना चाहिए कि why people say that I am a non-finance person. Having attended this program, I am sure that I am a finance person. And believe me, every one of us is a finance person. As a matter of fact, the people who are not into the accounts and finance function are truly more finance people. Why? Because these are the people who deal with the finance of the organization. तो हम क्या करेंगे, आज जो हमारा पहला दिन है, we would look at the importance of good understanding of finance, and where I'm going to discuss about some of the questions, some of the basic and fundamental questions. Say for example, what is purpose of a business, and how decisions are taken in business, and how business empires are built. Now this is what we are going to understand. Friends, मेरे experience में मैं आपको बताऊं कि more often than not, people are in business, people are in industry. Incidentally, they are not so much of aware as to what is the purpose of a business, and that is why a lot of people are struggling. But once you understand as to what is purpose of a business, a lot of things become absolutely clear without anything. Automatically you understand as to how empires have been built in the past and how the business empires are being built today. So that is what we would look at first, and then we would look at the profit and loss statement. तो अगर मुझे मेरे वेंडर की फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है, मुझे ये मालूम करना है. अगर मुझे ये मालूम करना है हाउ इज़ माय वेंडर्स फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन, अगर मुझे ये मालूम करना है हाउ इज़ द कैश फ्लो ऑफ माय वेंडर, अगर मुझे ये मालूम करना है कि मेरे वेंडर की ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है, अगर मुझे मालूम करना है कि मेरे वेंडर की फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है या ओवरऑल परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है. सो इफ़ आई हैव टू गेज ऑल दिस, what I need to understand is the profit and loss. And let me tell you friends, when I say profit and loss, I'm sure, and yesterday I was discussing with Neeraj and Gajanan, and I was very happy to note that all of you are engineers, and therefore for engineers it becomes still faster and easier to understand as to what is profit and loss. And this is again I'm telling you based on my experience. So हम लोग समझेंगे कि profit and loss क्या है, profit and loss की अहमियत क्या है, what is the importance of profit and loss, and how to use profit and loss statement for assessing performance of my vendors. This is what we will do as far as today is concerned. Tomorrow, which is second day, on second day we would look at the balance sheet and profit and the working capital management of a company. Interestingly friends, what I have done is with the help of Neeraj and Gajanan and Sneha, what I have done is I have picked up numbers of some of the vendors that we have, and I'm going to use the actual numbers of some of the vendors that we have for the purpose of explaining all these concepts. तो उससे क्या होगा, उससे ये होगा कि when you pick up the balance sheet of a vendor, you would be able to relate it very easily, and that is what I am sure will happen. So हम लोग बैलेंस शीट को समझेंगे कि बैलेंस शीट क्या है, बैलेंस शीट की सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है, एंड हाउ द बैलेंस शीट इज यूज फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ फाइंडिंग आउट कि ये वेंडर की फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन कैसी है. We would also look at the working capital management. And please remember, I am saying that we would look at from the perspective of vendor, but ऐसा नहीं है कि this knowledge we can use only for the purpose of vendor. No, this knowledge is universal. This knowledge about finance is universal. Since we are from the function of procurement, therefore we would use it predominantly in the context of our vendors, but this knowledge would help you otherwise also in every aspect of every function of your business. On the third day, we would look at the cash flow statement and we will understand as to what is cash flow. And मैं आपको बता दूं यहाँ पे फिर से एक बार, you may think, when I'm talking to you, cash flow statement, oh my god, this is something of finance. I do not have the finance background. I'm not a commerce graduate. How am I going to understand cash flow management? And friends, let me tell you, it's very simple. What is cash flow? Cash flow is nothing but knowing as to where the money is coming into the business and where the money is going from the business. And that is all. And this is all cash flow management. How to do it, we will understand together on the third day. Then we would also look at how to assess financial risk and carry out stability analysis of a vendor. So typically अगर मुझे एक वेंडर की फाइनेंशियल एनालिसिस करनी है, अगर मुझे मालूम करना है कि ये वेंडर मेरे लिए कितना रिस्की साबित हो सकता है या कितना कम रिस्की साबित हो सकता है या इसको कोई भी रिस्क नहीं है, अगर ये मुझे मालूम करना पड़े तो कैसे मालूम करेंगे? Again, so this is what we would discuss and cover on third day with the help of practical examples, illustrations, case studies, and then we will do it together. In this context, we would also look at Tata Motors financial analysis methodology for a vendor. So Tata Motors has its own financial analysis methodology. तो किसी वेंडर को अगर एनालाइज करना है, उसकी बैंक्रप्सी की क्या पोजीशन है या उसकी सॉल्वेंसी की क्या पोजीशन है, अगर ये मालूम करना है, टाटा मोटर्स हैज इट्स ओन मॉडल. सो हाउ दैट मॉडल इज यूज्ड, व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ दैट मॉडल, तो दैट इज व्हाट वी विल अंडरस्टैंड ऑन थर्ड डे. एंड ऑन द फोर्थ डे, फ्रेंड, वी वुड लुक एट हाउ टू फिगर आउट if a vendor is diverting the funds. Is very critical, very crucial for us because we give sometimes advances or support the vendor financially so as to ensure there is a continuity of supply to us of the components. But if the vendor is diverting those funds elsewhere and using it for something else, obviously he would be impacting his capability to supply the components to us on a continuing basis, on regular basis, which means that would impact our operations adversely. So how do we figure out? Is it really possible to figure out from the P&L balance sheet and the financials that we can have from the vendor as to whether he is diverting the funds? If yes, then how to figure that out? This is what we will understand. And friends, what I intend to do, we will not only understand, we will do it together so that tomorrow you would be able to do it by yourself using the P&L balance sheet of a vendor. Then on the fourth day, we will also look at the marginal costing. A question like, is it possible to increase your profit without increasing your selling price? And one can say, yes, it is possible to increase the profit without increasing the selling price by reducing the cost. And if I tell you, is it possible to increase the profit without increasing the selling price and also without touching the cost? You might wonder, can the answer be yes? And of course the answer is yes. It is possible to increase profit of a business multiple times when sales is increasing only one time. How do we do it? How it is possible? This is what we will understand when we look at the cost concepts and we look at the marginal costing. How the marginal costing can be used for the purpose of decision making. How the break-even analysis can be used for the purpose of decision making. And this is what we will look at on the fourth day. So friends, this is the a plan and agenda that we have. Now, what I would also urge to all of you that I have shared with all of you a workbook. I'm not sure how many of you have gone through it already. So if you have not gone through it all, I'm sure many of you would have done it. In case if some of you have not done it, then today after the session over and whenever you get some free time, please do go through the entire workbook. Go through the entire workbook. It will, number one, give you an idea as to what is the roadmap that we have for next 4 days. Number two, it is quite possible as you keep on reading it, lot of questions will keep on coming in your mind, lot of doubts will keep on coming in your mind, doubts which were there in your, which have been there in your mind all these for all these years. So आप क्या करिए, ये जो पेज आप देख रहे हैं, this page is also given in your workbook. The page that you see on the screen is also there in your workbook. So what I would very strongly recommend to all of you, please note down all your doubts about finance and your expectations from this program on this page. And why do I say this? Because once you note them down, then you can raise these doubts from time to time with me when we are doing this session. And I would be very happy to clarify all your doubts, whatever they may be, so as to ensure that your understanding of finance becomes very sound and very strong. So that's number one. Number two, friends, aap note, this is the, again, this page is also given in your workbook. So those of you who have already taken a hard copy of the workbook that I have shared with you, very good. Those of you who have not been able to do so, but if it is possible for you to take a hard copy, take a print of this soft copy that I have shared with you, it would really be useful in the course of this workshop. So the next quick thing that I would like to share with you. This page is again there in the workbook that I have shared with you. My action points from this program for sharpening my X. So it is quite possible, friends, जब हम बहुत सारे points discuss करेंगे तो कई सारे points को देख के आपको लग सकता है अरे हाँ यार, this is what I can apply in my day-to-day working. और not only you will get a particular point from the discussion, but it is also possible कि बात करते करते हम कोई चीज़ discuss कर रहे हैं और उसके basis पर आपको और कोई idea आ जाए, करे यार, this is also what I can do. So remember, these ideas are very funny. And why they are very funny? Because when they come, they come. And when they don't come, even if you want to recollect them, you try to remember them, they may not come. So what you should do, whenever you get any such idea in your mind, note it down on this page of your workbook so that you are able to implement these ideas tomorrow. Right. Now, there are a few rules that I would like to share with you, friends. The rule number one is, of course, we are working from home, and therefore I'm going to urge all of you that please be fully attentive in this workshop because we are discussing finance. और मैं चाहूँगा कि आप पूरी तरह से attentive रहें, कुछ भी चीज़ miss ना करें. Number two, I would very strongly urge to all of you that even though we are in a virtual world, but it is still possible for us to interact. And therefore, anytime if you have a doubt, you have a question, please do not hesitate to unmute yourself and speak up your doubt. Because the purpose of this program is not to do this program. Purpose of this program is at the end of the fourth day, you must have the confidence that yes, I am fully confident about finance. And that can happen only when you raise your doubts, raise your questions, whenever you get them in your mind. So this is rule number two. Please do not hesitate to raise your doubts and raise your questions with me, and I would be very happy to take them. मैं एक स्टेप और आगे जाऊंगा और मैं सजेस्ट करूंगा कि इट इज़ पॉसिबल कि कल जब हम सेशन लेंगे तो हो सकता है कि आपको आज के डिस्कशन से रिलेटेड कोई डाउट दिमाग में आ जाए tomorrow. Don't worry about it. It's perfectly fine with me. You can raise your doubt on the second day, third day, fourth day, pertaining to the points that we may have discussed on the first day, second day or third day is perfectly fine for me because our objective is to ensure that your understanding about finance, your understanding about your ability to assess, evaluate the financial position of your vendor is very strong. That is the purpose. And therefore, We would be very happy to take your doubts, your questions anytime, whenever you have them. All right, so let's begin. Why to worry about finance? ये question I am sure sometimes must have crossed your mind as well. And number two, how to strengthen our understanding of finance. ये दो चीजें हैं. तो क्यों मैं चिंता करूं फाइनेंस की? आई एम ए प्रोक्योरमेंट पर्सन. Finance is job of the finance people, accounts people. Let them worry about the finance. Why should I worry about procurement? Let me worry about procurement. So that is the first question that we need to answer. And the question number two that we need to answer is how to strengthen our understanding of finance. So सबसे पहले, why worry about finance? So we need to worry about finance, friends, because monitoring of financial health of our vendors is in our own interest. Rather, it is an essential part of our risk management plan. And that is the reason I need to have good understanding of finance. That is the reason. So my relationship with my vendor has many risks for my business. If I get disconnected with my vendor's business, I will be magnifying these risks that I am carrying. And therefore, to mitigate these risks, to keep these risks under control, I need to have good understanding of finance. Number two, majority of the decisions, and I'm sure all of you would agree with me on this, majority of the decisions that we take in our day-to-day business functions, in particular, and life in general, are based on finance. तो आप देखिए कि जो भी हम डिसीजंस लेते हैं हमारे बिजनेस में या हमारी पर्सनल लाइफ में, आपको ध्यान में आएगा कि वो सारे डिसीजंस आर बेस्ड ऑन नंबर्स. दोज डिसीजंस आर बेस्ड ऑन फाइनेंस. सो इफ आई एम डिसाइडिंग टू प्लेस एन ऑर्डर ऑन अ न्यू वेंडर, how am I going to take this decision? I'm not going to take this decision because this vendor is a new one. I'm going to take this decision based on the EBITDA margin that I will gain from the order that I'm going to place with this new vendor. How much is going to be my cost saving by placing order on this new vendor? Now that is what is going to make me decide whether to place order on this vendor or not to place an order on this new vendor. And that is the reason why we need to have good understanding of finance. So majority of the decisions that we take in our business are based on numbers, based on finance, and that is why we need to have good understanding of finance. Finally, friends, we need to have good understanding of finance for meeting expectations of the organization, for achieving self-reliance and independence. Understanding of finance is a roadmap for higher growth. Incidentally, friends, and I'm sure all of you are aware, in the board of directors of most companies across the globe, you will notice people who are sitting on the board of directors of the top of all the companies across the globe. Every one of them, without an exception, has a very good understanding of finance. And therefore, we need to have good understanding of finance because it is a roadmap for higher growth, for appreciating implications of corporate decisions. So as a company, as India's premier business group, a lot of decisions are taken. A lot of decisions are taken of organic growth, inorganic growth, capex, opex. Now, we would be able to appreciate implications of all these decisions only when we have a good understanding of finance, and that is the reason as to why we need to worry about finance. Budgeting and budgetary control. Every one of us has to contribute towards the budget of the organization, and we would be able to do so only when we have a sound understanding of finance. So it's not that we should be able to only contribute to the budget making process. As a matter of fact, we should be able to appreciate the budget itself. We should be able to find out as to when it is a good budget and when it is not a good budget and things like that. And that can happen only with good understanding of finance. Effective benchmarking. So between 4 of my vendors, who is doing better? and who's doing worse, who needs to improve, and whose practices can be recommended to other vendors. That benchmarking is possible only with the understanding of finance, better understanding of competition, being sharp in negotiations. As the procurement people, we have to negotiate off and on with our vendors. We can do this negotiation only when we have a good understanding of finance, only we have a good understanding of costing, only when we have a good understanding of benchmarking, only when we have a good understanding of profitability. So we need to have good understanding for being good in being sharp in negotiations as well. Correct performance evaluation, adding value beyond our normal function, contributing to top level deliberation. So many times it happens that every one of us in one way or the other, so whenever the top level meetings are happening, it may be the top level meeting, it may be board of directors meeting, it may be a shareholders meeting, so a lot of inputs are required to be obtained from different departments of the organization. We would be able to contribute to such deliberations when we have a good understanding of finance. And finally, friends, we need to have good understanding of finance to assess financial risk and stability analysis of our vendors. We can do that only when we have a good understanding of finance. So these are the reasons, friends, for which we need to have good understanding of finance. Now the question is how to strengthen our understanding of finance. So how to become good in finance. Now before I discuss this question, let me throw it open to all of you. In case if any one of you has any question on whatever we have discussed so far, you can please unmute yourself and raise your question. So we can take a couple of questions before we move to how to strengthen our understanding of finance. Anyone? Anyone? Okay, so if there are no questions, we of course will continue. So now the question is.
Sir, this is Ritesh. I'm audible, sir?
Yes, Rishikesh, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. So can you elaborate the point effective benchmarking?
Oh yes, of course. Yes, Rishikesh. See, what is bench?
Yes, sir. Can you elaborate the point effective benchmarking?
Yes, Rishikesh. Are you able to hear me? Am I audible to you, Rishikesh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So, what is
Sir,
benchmarking?
this is Nitesh. Yeah. Audible, sir.
Sorry, Nitesh. My apology. Yes, Nitesh. So, what is benchmarking? See, today we are in an extremely competitive environment. Competitive because for various reasons margins are under pressure, and therefore there is a very strong urgency and need to ensure that we are continuously improving our operations, our performance in every respect of it. So what is benchmarking? Now benchmarking is comparing yourself with others and find out as to in the same industry how are the other companies doing. So comparing yourself with other companies is benchmarking. So what do you do? Let's say in an industry you see all the automobile companies XYZ and you figure out that company Z is doing well, is doing the best among all the players with regard to the gross profit, with regard to the EBITDA margin, with regard to the net profit. So if in the industry, in the automobile industry, out of company A, B, C, D, if company D is doing the best, so what we need to do? We need to find out. Okay, sometimes this information may be available in public domain, sometimes it may not be available in the public domain, and that's where we will have to use our thinking process and various other means. So if we realize that company D's performance is the best in terms of gross profit margin, in terms of EBITDA margin, in terms of net profit. So what we need to do, we need to find out as to what company D is doing. Find out those practices and then apply those practices in our own operations also. So this is benchmarking. You are benchmarking your performance with the best in the industry. And why do you do it? You do it because you would like to improvise your operations as well. So if something is working for someone, what we need to do, we need to apply the same thing with us also. And that is how we can improve our performance, our results. So this is benchmarking, Nitesh. I hope that answers your questions, Nitesh.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Yeah, okay, very good. Anyone else? Any other question from anyone? Fine, friends. अब सवाल ये है, how to strengthen our understanding of finance. ठीक है, why finance is important, understood. Vendors analysis, evaluation, assessment is also understood. But the question is, how do we strengthen our understanding of finance? How do we equip ourselves so that we are able to assess, evaluate, and analyze our vendors' position? Now, friends, the good news is that there is not much required to be done. So when I say there is not much required to be done, when I say this, what does it mean? It means we only need to understand three statements. And what those three statements are? Those three statements are, सबसे पहले हमको समझने की ज़रूरत है कि प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस क्या है. What is profit and loss? And then what we need to do? We need to understand what is balance sheet. And then what we need to do? We need to understand what is cash flow and what is funds flow. तो ये तीन स्टेटमेंट हैं फ्रेंड्स जो कि हमको समझने की ज़रूरत है फॉर स्ट्रेंथनिंग आवर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ फाइनेंस. एंड बिलीव मी, इट इज़ रियली सो. ये तीन स्टेटमेंट्स के अलावा और चौथा स्टेटमेंट नहीं है इन दी वर्ल्ड ऑफ फाइनेंस एंड दी फाइनेंशियल अकाउंटिंग दैट यू आई नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. अगर ये तीन चीज़ हम समझ जाएं तो हमारी फाइनेंस की अंडरस्टैंडिंग विल बी एब्सोल्युटली एट पार विद एवरीवन. एब्सोल्युटली एट पार विद एवरीवन. एंड सो दीज आर दी थ्री स्टेटमेंट्स. अब एक और आपको काम क्या करना है? वंस यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज अ P&L, वंस यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज अ बैलेंस शीट, you can also connect the P&L and the balance sheet. So by connecting P&L and the balance sheet, and how it is to be done, we will do it together. By connecting P&L and the balance sheet, you can strengthen your power of finance further. Okay. So today what we will do, so today we will understand what is profit and loss, what is balance sheet, and what is fund. Today we will understand the profit and loss today. Now that is number one. So for being good in finance, what we need to do, need to understand these three statements, and we need to answer few fundamental questions. And I would like this to become little more interactive. And so therefore, please feel free to unmute yourself at any point in time and answer whatever question that I am asking. So we need to answer three fundamental questions. And the fundamental question number one is, what is the purpose of a business? Would any one of you like to answer this question? What is purpose of a business? Anyone?
So to earn money, profit, generate money.
Generate money. What?
Make profit.
Make profit. Okay, make profit, generate money. Very good. What else? What else?
To service a need.
To service the need. Okay, very good.
That is the
To service the need, yes, of course. What else?
generate employment.
Generate employment. Okay, okay. Generate employment. Yeah. What else? What else?
Utilize.
To sustain in marketplace.
To sustain in marketplace is the purpose of a business. Very good. Very good. What else?
To make profit.
To make profit. Yes, of course. To make profit. What else?
Sustain the confidence of customers.
To sustain the confidence of the customers. Yes, of course. Yes, of course. What else? What else? One more.
Create value.
To create value. Very good. Very good. Very good. Excellent. Now, friends, I'm really glad with all the answers that you have given. And let me tell you, friends, most people would think that the purpose of a business is to make profit. And let me tell you, friends, purpose of a business is not to make profit. Purpose of a business is not to make profit. And why do I say this? I say this because if purpose of a business was to make profit, you will not see a company called Apple. Why? Because Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, the promoter of this company, they made profit in very first few years of operations of Apple. And they would have said, purpose of a business is to make profit. We have made profit. Purpose is achieved. Let us close the business. If the purpose of a business was to make profit, then you will not see a company called Google. Why? Because in the very first few years of their operations, Larry Page and Sergey Brin made profit. And they would have said, purpose of a business is to make profit. We have made profit. Purpose is achieved. Let us close the business. And if the purpose of a business was to make profit, then the group that we have, we are so proud of, the Tata's empire, would not be there. Why? Because Jamshedji Tata, in very first few years of his operations when he set up the steel plant in 1906, he would have said the same thing, that the purpose of a business is to make profit. We have made profit. Purpose is achieved. Let us close the business. So friends, remember, purpose of a business is not to make profit. And why do I say that the purpose of a business is not to make profit? And that is because making profit in a business is mandatory. Making profit in a business is compulsory. Making profit in a business is not a matter of choice. Making profit in a business is not a matter of option. So if you are in business, if we are in business, if I am in business, then the making profit is not a matter of choice. अगर मैं business में हूँ, I have to make a profit. I have to make a profit. So profit making is not a matter of choice, and that is the reason why I say that the making profit is not the purpose of a business. Then the question is, what is purpose of a business? And the purpose of a business is to create value. Is to create value. And how do you create value? You create value by making profit. You create value by making profit. So the purpose of a business is to create value by making profit. Or in case if you want to put it the other way around, you can say purpose of a business is to make profit by creating value. And that is what we need to remember, that the purpose of a business is to create value. And please remember, why do I say this? Why do I say this? Because there are businesses, there have been businesses on this earth where the person who started that business, his sole motive was to make profit by hook or crook. Remember what happens with these businesses. These businesses may go on for some time, but not forever. When your focus is only to make profit by hook or crook, you will fall the wayside sooner than later. But But if the purpose of a business is to create value, then your business continue to last forever. Tatas have been in existence for more than a century now. Birlas have been in existence for more than centuries now. In this last century, so many businesses must have started where the focus was only to make profit. They have fallen by the wayside. But the Tata Empire, the Birla Empire continue to exist because their purpose is to create value. So that is number one. Purpose of a business is to create value by making profit or making profit by creating value. So when you create value in your business, profit is bound to be there. Profit is bound to be there because growth will follow the value creation. So whenever and wherever there is a value creation, growth will happen automatically. But remember, at the same time, if a business ceases to create value, can that business last for long? And the answer is no. A business has to create value for the long-term sustainability. So the mantra for the long-term sustainability of any business anywhere in the world is value creation. The question number 2, how decisions are taken in business? And remember friends, this question, when I joined ArcelorMittal, this question crossed my mind, having traveled all over the plants, as to how the decisions are taken. So many decisions are taken all over the world by all the businesses. Tatas have taken so many decisions of organic growth, inorganic growth. How these decisions are taken? Because you acquire a big company, mega size company. How do you take a decision of acquiring a mega size company? Whether you are taking a decision of acquiring a mega size company or you are taking a decision of appointing a new vendor, remember, all the decisions are driven by only one single thing. And that one single thing is this decision of acquiring this mega company, is this decision of appointing a new vendor for my company, is it going to help me create more value? And if the answer is yes, then you will acquire the mega company, you will appoint the new vendor. If the answer is no, if I appoint this new vendor or if I acquire this company, I am not going to create value. On the contrary, I will be eroding value. Then what you do? Then you don't take that decision. And that is why every one of us need to constantly remember and let it become part of our DNA that ultimately the purpose of a business is to create value, and all the decisions anywhere in the world in all the businesses are based on one single factor, and that factor is this decision going to help me create more value or is not going to help me create more value? If it is going to help me create more value, I take that decision. And if it is not going to help me create value, then I am not going to take that decision. And there is one question that emanates from here. If the purpose of a business is to create value, I have traveled all over the globe, and many times a lot of executives would come and discuss with me. They would say, I've been working so hard in my company, but there is no growth in my career. And I would say, ask yourself one question. What is that which you are doing that is helping your business, your company create more value? The moment you are able to identify that this is what I am doing, which is so exclusive, that this is directly helping my company create more value, the growth in your career will follow automatically. More often than not, we are not clear about as to how am I contributing to the value creation of the business. Once I know that this is what I am contributing, which is directly helping my business create more value, then the growth happens. So how the decisions are taken? The second question, decisions are taken based on the value creation. Any decision that you are contemplating, you do not have to be in any confusion about it. Just ask yourself one single question. Is this decision going to help me create more value for my business? If the answer is no, go ahead with it. And that is how it is done all over the globe. Now a question that can come to your mind, and it should come to your mind, as to how the value creation happens. So the purpose of a business, friends, is to create value. And how do you create value? And let me just share this episode with you. So how do you create value? So you create value by converting resources into result. Now what does it mean? It means Jamshedji Tata in 1901, when he thought of setting up the steel plant, what was he doing? He was converting resources into result. That means what? That means he had some capital, he had some drive, he had some urge to do something, and using those resources, what he did, he converted resources into result. That means all that he had, उसको उन्होंने कन्वर्ट करके क्या किया, उस जमाने का वर्ल्ड क्लास स्टील प्लांट क्रिएट किया जमशेदपुर में और समवेयर इन बिहार, that now it is known as Jamshedpur. So, how do you create value? And please pay attention. You create value by converting resources into result and then result into resources. Now, what does it mean? It means आपने उस जमाने का सबसे बेहतरीन स्टील प्लांट बना दिया. Now, what do? Do you go to market and buy a big lock and put it on the factory gate and go home? Of course not. Of course not. Then what do? Having converted resources into result, having built a world-class factory of making steel, now what do? Now you produce steel, sell it in the market. And when you sell it in the market, what you get? You get cash. And that means what you are doing? You are converting result into resources. So how the business empires are built? The business empires are built by following this simple mantra of converting resources into result and result into resources. And friends, I am sure you can very clearly understand, converting resources into result का मतलब क्या है? Growth. And converting result into resources का मतलब क्या है? Making profit. And this is how all the business empires of this world have been built. पूरी दुनिया में जितनी भी business empires हैं वो कैसे build हुई? They have been built by following this simple mantra of converting resources into result and result into resources. Just imagine जमशेदजी टाटा जब उन्होंने पहला प्लांट सेटअप किया, उसके उन्होंने क्या किया? उस प्लांट से और रिसोर्सेज जनरेट किए, उन रिसोर्सेज से फिर और फैक्ट्री डाली और प्लांट डाले. Now this is how it has been going on and on and on and on, and this is how we have a big Tata empire on this earth today. Same is the case with the Birlas. What they have done, Ghanshyam Das ji Birla started something of this kind, and they have been continuously converting resources into result into resources, and that is how you also have Birla Empire. And remember, these two groups are continuously following the philosophy of value creation. And I'm sure a question can come to your mind as to what is value creation? What is value creation? And if I can give you a very simple definition as to what is value creation simply means to do the things to make this world a better place to live than what it was yesterday. And that is value creation. So anyone and everyone who is driven by this urge to make this world a better place to live than what it was yesterday, he is creating value. And anyone who is creating value, the growth will automatically follow with him. So these are the three fundamental questions, friends. I thought I would share them with you and discuss them with you. What is purpose of a business? Is to create value. How do you create value? You create value by converting resources into result and result into resources. Question number 2, how the business decisions are taken all over the globe. The business decisions, whether of big size or small size, are driven by one single question. Will this decision help me create more value for my business? Go ahead with it. It will not help me create more value. On the contrary, because of this decision, I may destroy value in my business. Don't think about it. And number 3, how the empires are built across the globe. The empires are built by following this simple mantra of converting resources into result and result into resources. And question number 4, what is your role and my role to take our career to a very high level? Is to help the businesses create more value. Now in this context, friends, value creation, and please pay attention, value creation is just one side of the coin. There is another side of the coin. And what is the another side of the coin? The another side of the coin is risk management. अब जरा समझ के लीजिए, all the businesses across the globe have twin objective. What is the twin objective? Twin objective is number one, create value, and on the other side, do the risk management. Do the risk management. And why do I say this? Because if a business is focusing on value creation and ignoring the risk management, it is possible that business may run into difficulty sooner than later. Why? Because you are creating value for sure. But if you are not taking care of the risks that you have in your business, it is possible that your business can get completely wiped off in one single day. And I'm sure many of you, all of you would remember a classic example of Barings Bank. Barings Bank was a bank that was in existence for more than 100 years. But one night, a rogue trader of the bank kept on entering deals on behalf of the bank, kept on losing them, and he kept on making new bid every time in anticipation that he will make up the loss that he have done so far. And every time he was entering a new bid, he was going deeper in the hole. And by the time morning happened, that bank had become bankrupt. And that is the risk management side of the value creation. So you can imagine a bank that existed for more than 100 years got wiped off in one single day because risk management was not taken care of. Risk management was not taken care of. So therefore, there are two sides of a business, purpose of a business, value creation and risk management. And that is what we need to constantly remember. So when we are concerned about the evaluation, assessment, analysis of the vendor, it is from what perspective? It is also from the perspective of risk management, because our resources are stuck up there, and therefore it is in our own interest that we do this analysis of vendor continuously, be aware of as to where it is, so that we are able to take the right steps at the right time. And that is why we also have this program. Now let's move to how to read profit and loss. How to read profit and loss statement. So I would like to leave it open to all of you and let me hear from you कि आपके हिसाब से अगर एक प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस को समझना है तो कैसे करेंगे आप, ऑल ऑफ यू. All of you, how will you read the profit and loss? आपके हिसाब से कैसे आप पढ़ेंगे प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस को? Anyone? You can unmute yourself and speak up. Nitesh?
Yes, whatever the investment we do for the business and what we get the output, and the difference of that will calculate as a loss or profit.
Okay, very good. What else? How do you read profit and loss? If I give you a profit and loss statement of a vendor of yours in your hand, and if I ask you as to how will you decipher and come to conclusion about the financial performance of this vendor, how will you do it?
Sales minus cost to sell.
Sales.
Equal profit, the simple language.
Very good. Sales minus cost is equal to profit. Yes. What else? What else? What else? how do you define profit? How do you define profit, all of you?
Revenue and expense.
How to define profit?
Revenue minus expenditure or income minus expenditure.
Revenue minus expenditure. Okay. What else? Are you able to see the PPT on your screen, please? Are you able to see it?
No, sir.
Okay.
No.
Okay, let me just put it. Are you able to see it now? Is it visible on your screen, Gajanan? Is it visible on your screen, Gajanan? Can you see it on your screen? Can you see the screen? Or are you able to see the PPT?
Yes.
Okay, very good, very good. So friends, now अब सवाल ये है कि प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस को कैसे रीड करें, और प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस को रीड करने के लिए हमको समझना होगा कि प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस है क्या. सो नंबर वन, इट्स अ स्टेटमेंट. इट इज़ अ स्टेटमेंट दैट टेल्स यू कि आपके बिजनेस की इनकम कितनी है और आपके बिजनेस के एक्सपेंसेस कितने हैं. सो इनकम minus the expenses, what you get in your hand is either profit or you have either loss. Now how to figure out? देखो बहुत सिंपल है. How to figure out whether it is a good P&L or it is a bad P&L. So if my income is more and expenses are less, that means it is a good P&L, because income is more, expenses are less, that means I have a profit. It's a good P&L. If my income is less and expenses are more, that means it's a bad P&L. And believe me, it is really that simple. Why it is bad P&L? Because income कम है, खर्चे ज़्यादा हैं. That means I am incurring losses. So can the profit also be understood in different ways? And the answer is yes. अब देखिए, फॉर एनालाइजिंग द फाइनेंशियल्स ऑफ एनी बिजनेस, तो ये मालूम करने के लिए कि भाई किसी बिजनेस की ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है या फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है या उसकी ओवरऑल परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है, अगर ये मालूम करना हो तो प्रॉफिट कैन बी अंडरस्टूड एज ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट. इट कैन बी अंडरस्टूड एज एबिडा, EBIT, EBT, EAT, retained earnings, cash profit, or earning per share. So I am sure friends, as you see it on the screen, you must be wondering, अरे बाप रे, हम तो सोचते थे कि हमारा प्रॉब्लम इतना ही है कि प्रॉफिट क्या है यही समझना है, पर ये तो बहुत ही लंबा चौड़ी कहानी हो गई. ये सब कुछ अगर समझने जाएंगे तो हमको तो 2-4 साल लग जाएंगे फाइनेंस को समझने में. एंड लेट मी टेल यू फ्रेंड्स, इट इज़ नॉट सो. इट इज़ एब्सोल्युटली नॉट सो. रादर इट इज़ वेरी सिंपल. एंड हाउ इट इज़ सिंपल? इट इज़ सिंपल एज यू कैन सी इट ऑन द स्क्रीन. सो आर यू एबल टू, व्हाट यू सी ऑन योर स्क्रीन, Gajanan, can you please tell me? वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड, थैंक यू नीरज. सो नाउ अब सवाल ये है, हाउ टू मेक सेंस or how to understand profit, and just be with me. So what you see here, the first item is sales. Sales is also known as top line. And why it is known as top line? No rocket science, it is very simple. Sales is also known as top line because ये जो line है sales की, वो statement में separate सबसे top पे है. Since the sales figure is on the top of the statement, that is why it is known as top line. So you can call it sales, you can call it top line, both mean the same thing. Now from the figure of sales, when you minus the material cost and the manufacturing expenses, what you get in your hand is your gross profit. So मैंने आपको आपके हाथ में एक आपके वेंडर का P&L दे दिया, एंड आई एम आस्किंग यू कि प्लीज़ टेल मी ये वेंडर का ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट कितना है. हाउ विल यू फिगर इट आउट? वेरी सिंपल. वो वेंडर का जो सेल्स का फिगर है वो पिकअप करिए, उसमें से मटेरियल कॉस्ट को माइनस करिए, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सपेंसेस को माइनस करिए. अब जो आपके हाथ में बचा, दैट इज योर ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट. इट इज एज सिंपल एज दैट. नाउ ये जो मटेरियल कॉस्ट है, ये जो नीरज, कैन यू सी द कर्सर ऑन योर स्क्रीन?
Yes, sir.
ओके, वेरी गुड, थैंक यू, थैंक यू, थैंक यू. सो ये जो मटेरियल कॉस्ट है और ये मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सपेंसेस, ये दोनों को अगर आप मिला दो, इफ यू टोटल द मटेरियल कॉस्ट एंड द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सपेंसेस, द टोटल इज नोन एज COGS, कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड्स सोल्ड. कहने का क्या मतलब है? कहने का ये मतलब है कि अगर आप सेल्स में से मटेरियल कॉस्ट माइनस करें, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कॉस्ट माइनस करें, तो आपके हाथ में जो बचेगा वो ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट होगा. इन अदर वर्ड्स, इफ यू डिडक्ट COGS, द फिगर ऑफ कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड्स सोल्ड, फ्रॉम द फिगर ऑफ सेल्स, what you get in your hand is known as your gross profit, is known as your gross profit. अब अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं कि आपके वेंडर के लिए ये ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट की सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है, तो ये ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट की सिग्निफिकेंस ये है कि ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट के फिगर से मालूम पड़ता है इंडस्ट्री की अट्रैक्टिवनेस कैसी है. इंडस्ट्री की अट्रैक्टिवनेस कैसी है. क्या मतलब है इसका? इसका मतलब यह है कि इंडस्ट्री आपकी कब अट्रैक्टिव होगी. इंडस्ट्री आपकी तब अट्रैक्टिव होगी जब सेलिंग प्राइस आप पे आपको कोई रेस्ट्रिक्शन नहीं है, यानी कि आप जो भी सेलिंग प्राइस चार्ज करना चाहें आप कर सकते हैं. मटेरियल कॉस्ट आप पे आप कंट्रोल है, दैट मीन्स मटेरियल कॉस्ट आपकी बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है. सो सेलिंग प्राइस आपकी मनमानी है, मटेरियल कॉस्ट आपकी बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि आपकी जो COGS है वो बहुत कम है. और अगर आपकी COGS बहुत कम है, इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि आपका ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट ज़्यादा है. तो अगर आपके वेंडर की P&L से आपको मालूम पड़ता है कि इसका ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट बहुत है, इसका मतलब क्या है कि ये वेंडर के लिए ये इंडस्ट्री बहुत अट्रैक्टिव है. ये वेंडर के लिए ये इंडस्ट्री बहुत अट्रैक्टिव है. सो दैट इज योर ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट, दैट इज योर ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट. अब सो व्हाट डू यू डू नाउ? सो आपने सेल्स में से मटेरियल कॉस्ट माइनस करी, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कॉस्ट माइनस करी, आपके हाथ में आ गया ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट. अब ये ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट में से आप क्या करिए? ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट में से आप माइनस करिए सेलिंग जनरल एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एक्सपेंसेस. अब ये सेलिंग जनरल एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एक्सपेंसेस को शॉर्ट में SG&A भी कहते हैं. क्या कहते हैं? SG&A और SG&A. सेलिंग जनरल एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एक्सपेंसेस. इसमें क्या आ गया? इसमें आपके सेलिंग के खर्चे आ गए, जनरल खर्चे आ गए और एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन से रिलेटेड सारे खर्चे आ गए. सो ऑल दैट इज पार्ट ऑफ योर सेलिंग जनरल एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एक्सपेंसेस. सो ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट में से आप क्या माइनस करेंगे? SG&A माइनस करेंगे, और जब आप ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट में से SG&A माइनस करेंगे तो जो आपके हाथ में आता है उसको बोलते हैं एबिडा। एबिडा, एबिडा यानी कि अर्निंग बिफोर इंटरेस्ट, टैक्स, डेप्रिसिएशन एंड एमोर्टाइजेशन। एबिडा को कैश ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट भी कहते हैं। एबिडा को कैश ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट भी कहते हैं। अब मैं आपको एक चीज बताऊं कि किसी भी बिजनेस की फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस को इवैल्यूएट करने में एबिडा का बहुत बड़ा हाथ है। एबिडा का बहुत बड़ा हाथ है। तो मैं चाहूंगा कि आप में से एक या दो लोग मुझे बताएं कि एबिडा क्यों इतना इंपॉर्टेंट है किसी भी बिजनेस के लिए। एनी वन और टू ऑफ यू, व्हाई एबिडा इज सो इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर एनी बिजनेस? एनीवन?
सर इससे मतलब पता चल सकता है कि ओवरऑल कॉस्ट का है, मतलब
ओवरऑल
जो है ओवरहेड कॉस्ट, मतलब फिक्स कॉस्ट जो है
हाँ
कंपनी की,
हम्म
जैसे आपने एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एक्सपेंसेस बताया
हम्म
कि उसमें में भी ये आ सकता है कि एम्प्लॉइज की सैलरी क्या है, कितने परसेंटेज पे फॉल कर रहे हैं, वो फॉल।
ओके ओके, वेरी गुड वेरी गुड। एनीवन एल्स?
Basically, it is telling about the overall operational efficiency of the business.
Okay, overall operational efficiency over the business. Okay, let me ask you one more question. Anyone? So अब देखिए कि EBITDA, जो आपकी EBITDA है, जो कैश ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट है, इट इज ऑल्सो डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड विद द बोरोइंग कैपेसिटी ऑफ अ बिजनेस। यानी कि आपका वेंडर कितना और पैसा उधार ले सकेगा, उसकी कैपेसिटी एबिडा पे डिपेंड करती है। कैन समबडी टेल मी व्हाई? एबिडा का और बोरोइंग पावर का क्या रिलेशन हो सकता है?
But if EBITDA is more, then company is more,
If the
bank can
business is able to make profit,
loan on that.
Okay, one at a time, please. One at a time.
so within his business, he can able to generate the profit.
Mm-hmm.
So
ओके ओके, वेरी गुड वेरी गुड। सो अब देखिए, वेरी गुड। नाउ एबिडा में से व्हाट यू डू नाउ, ये जो आपका एबिडा का जो फिगर है 850 विच यू सी ऑन द स्क्रीन, नाउ व्हाट यू डू फ्रॉम हियर, यू विल माइनस द डेप्रिसिएशन एंड एमोर्टाइजेशन। सो एबिडा में से आप क्या करिए, डेप्रिसिएशन का फिगर माइनस करिए, एमोर्टाइजेशन का फिगर माइनस करिए। अब जो आपके हाथ में बचा, दैट इज नॉन एज EBIT, अर्निंग बिफोर इंटरेस्ट एंड टैक्स। दिस इज ऑल्सो नॉन एज, इसको ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट भी कहते हैं। सो एबिट इज ऑल्सो नॉन एज ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट। EBIT से व्हाट यू डू, EBIT में से आप फाइनेंस कॉस्ट माइनस करिए। फाइनेंस कॉस्ट का मतलब क्या है, इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट। सो EBT में से, अर्निंग बिफोर टैक्स में से, when you minus the from the EBIT अर्निंग बिफोर इंटरेस्ट एंड टैक्स, आप माइनस करिए फाइनेंस कॉस्ट, and what is left in your hand is known as EBT, earning before tax, earning before tax। अब earning before tax में से आप क्या माइनस करेंगे, आप टैक्सेस माइनस करेंगे, इनकम टैक्स जो कंपनी भरती है वो माइनस करेंगे। अब आपके हाथ में क्या बचा, अब आपके हाथ में जो बचा उसको बोलते हैं अर्निंग आफ्टर टैक्स, EAT। तो EAT का क्या मतलब है, EAT का मतलब ये है कि अगर ये फिगर पॉजिटिव है, that means you can eat, otherwise you cannot eat. That means for a business there has to be a positive earning after tax. EAT is also known as net income, or it is also known as bottom line. And why it is known as bottom line? Because ये figure P&L के bottom में आता है, and that is why it is also known as bottom line. अब ईएटी में से क्या माइनस करेंगे फ्रेंड्स? आप ईएटी में से माइनस करेंगे डिविडेंड, डिविडेंड जो आप शेयर होल्डर्स को पे करते हो. सो फ्रॉम द फिगर ऑफ ईएटी विच इज 150, you minus the figure of 50 which is dividend, and what is left in your hand is known as retained profit. Retained profit meaning what? Meaning आपने 150 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट कमाया, 100 करोड़ 50 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट आपने शेयर होल्डर्स को दे दिया डिविडेंड करके. अब आपके बिजनेस में कितना आपने रख लिया? 100 करोड़. सो दैट इज योर रिटेन्ड प्रॉफिट. And friends, you also need to understand one more thing, and that is your cash profit. So what is cash profit? Cash profit is profit after tax plus depreciation and amortization. So ये दोनों का जो फिगर है टोटल, that is known as cash profit. Why it is known as cash profit? Because depreciation and amortization ये दोनों नॉन कैश एक्सपेंस हैं. यानी कि डेप्रीसिएशन का पैसा बिजनेस के बाहर जाता नहीं है. आपने प्लांट एंड मशीनरी के ऊपर डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज किया, इट इज़ ओनली अ बुक एंट्री, द मनी इज़ नॉट गोइंग आउट. आपने अपने इंटेंजिबल एसेट्स पे अमोर्टाइजेशन चार्ज किया, इट इज़ ओनली अ बुक एंट्री, इट इज़ द मनी इज़ नॉट गोइंग आउट, एंड दैट इज़ हाउ इट इज़ नॉन एज नॉन कैश एक्सपेंस. सो यू टेक द फिगर ऑफ प्रॉफिट आफ्टर टैक्स और अर्निंग आफ्टर टैक्स, उसमें आप डेप्रिसिएशन का फिगर जोड़ दो और amortization का फिगर जोड़ दो. सो व्हाट यू गेट हियर, इट इज नोन एज योर कैश प्रॉफिट. यानी कि इतना कैश मैंने बिजनेस के ऑपरेशन से कमाया है. सो दिस इज फ्रेंड्स इज योर प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस स्टेटमेंट फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ इवेल्युएटिंग परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ एनी बिजनेस. इवेल्युएटिंग परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ एनी बिजनेस. तो अगर आपको मालूम करना हो कि किसी बिजनेस की ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है, फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है, दिस इज हाउ यू विल लुक एट इट एक्चुअली. सो ओके, सो लेट मी सी इन केस इफ एनीवन हैज एनी क्वेश्चन ऑन दिस.
Sir, I have one question. Sir,
Please go ahead.
if depreciation and amortization is lastly we add in the EAT, then why we minus in the EBIT? If it is lastly we can add, then why it is minus in the EBIT? Then we will continue borrow this state, depreciation and amortization.
वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन, वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन, वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. सी नाउ देखो, अब जब आप P&L बनाते हो ना, तो P&L बनाने का आपका पर्पज़ क्या है? P&L बनाने का आपका पर्पज़ ये है कि आप मालूम करना चाहते हो कि आपकी कंपनी की परफॉर्मेंस अलग अलग स्टेजेस पे कैसी रही है. तो अगर आप डेप्रिसिएशन और अमोर्टाइजेशन माइनस नहीं करोगे तो क्या होगा? तो डेप्रिसिएशन की कॉस्ट आपकी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी में नहीं आएगी, और डेप्रिसिएशन और अमोर्टाइजेशन आपके बिजनेस की कॉस्ट हैं, क्योंकि आपने प्लांट एंड मशीनरी परचेज बनाई है, खरीदी है, आपने बिल्डिंग बनाई है, तो बिल्डिंग का आप यूज़ कर रहे हैं, प्लांट एंड मशीनरी का आप यूज़ कर रहे हैं, तो उनके यूज़ की वजह से उनका डेप्रिसिएशन हो रहा है. डेप्रिसिएशन हो रहा है तो इसका मतलब वो खर्चा हो रहा है, और वो खर्चा हो रहा है और आपको ये मालूम करना है कि आपने कितना प्रॉफिट कमाया. तो अगर आपको ये मालूम करना है कि आपने कितना प्रॉफिट कमाया, तो वो मालूम करने के लिए आपको आपकी सेल्स में से सारे खर्चे माइनस करने पड़ेंगे, इंक्लूडिंग डेप्रिसिएशन. तो आप डेप्रिसिएशन और एमोर्टाइजेशन क्यों माइनस करते हैं? ताकि आपको ये मालूम पड़े कि आपने प्रॉफिट कितना कमाया है. अब आप ये मालूम करना चाहते हैं कि प्रॉफिट तो मालूम पड़ गया, पर मेरे पास में कैश कितना है, कितना कैश कमाया मैंने. तो उसके लिए आप एडिशनली और एक लाइन बना दो, और वहाँ पे आप क्या करो कि अर्निंग आफ्टर टैक्स का जो फिगर है उसमें आप डेप्रिसिएशन और एमोर्टाइजेशन का फिगर ऐड कर दो. तो उससे आपको एडिशनली ये भी मालूम पड़ जाएगा कि मेरा कैश प्रॉफिट कितना है, मतलब मैंने मेरे ऑपरेशन से कितना कैश जनरेट किया है, ये आपको मालूम पड़ेगा. एंड उसकी वजह से आपको इसको बाद में अलग से एडजस्ट करके दिखाना पड़ता है. आई होप दैट आंसर्स योर क्वेश्चन.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, any other question please before we go to the next case study?
Sir, Aditya, here I have one doubt. If I show the depreciation amortization figure, very large, my earning after tax will become, or my tax liability will reduce. So what is the percentage organization can show depreciation amortization with respect to their total revenue
आ-
or
आ-
total sales?
आदित्य am I right?
Yeah.
ओके आदित्य, वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन, वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन। आपका सवाल ये है कि डेप्रिसिएशन और अमोर्टाइजेशन में ज़्यादा दिखा सकता हूँ ताकि मेरा टैक्स कम हो जाए। अब ऐसा है आदित्य, ये डेप्रिसिएशन का फिगर और अमोर्टाइजेशन का फिगर कंपनी के हाथ में नहीं है कि वो कितना दिखा सकते हैं। इसके लिए लॉ है। तो मैं आपको ब्रीफ में बताऊं, एक है कंपनीज एक्ट, है ना, कंपनीज एक्ट। कंपनीज एक्ट के हिसाब से हम प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस बनाते हैं। तो कंपनीज एक्ट में दिया हुआ है कि आप कितना डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज कर सकते हैं। तो आप ना उतना ही डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज कर सकते हैं जितना कि आपको P&L कंपनीज एक्ट में बताया हुआ है। आप ज़्यादा चार्ज कर सकते हैं, लेकिन उसके लिए आपको एक्सप्लेनेशन देना होगा। और याद रखिए, ये जो डेप्रिसिएशन आप देख रहे हो ये स्टेटमेंट में, वो आप ज़्यादा करो या कम करो, उससे इनकम टैक्स पे फर्क पड़ने वाला नहीं है। और समझ के लीजिए, सुन के लीजिए, क्यों फर्क पड़ने वाला नहीं है? क्योंकि इनकम टैक्स का जो डेप्रिसिएशन है वो आपको अलग से कैलकुलेट करना पड़ता है। वो कैसे अलग से कैलकुलेट करना पड़ता है? उसके लिए इनकम टैक्स है। तो प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस जो आपके सामने स्क्रीन पर दिख रहा है, वहां पर जो डेप्रिसिएशन का फिगर लेंगे वो कंपनी एक्ट के हिसाब से कैलकुलेट करेंगे। लेकिन टैक्स की लायबिलिटी आपकी कितनी होगी, उसके लिए आप कितना डेप्रिसिएशन ले सकते हैं, वो उसके लिए आपको इनकम टैक्स एक्ट के प्रोविजन के हिसाब से जाना पड़ेगा। तो इनकम टैक्स में जितना आपको परमिसिबल है, आप उतना ही डेप्रिसिएशन ले सकते हैं। तो इसीलिए ये डेप्रिसिएशन हम लोगों के हाथ में नहीं है, वो हमको एज पर दी लॉ जाना पड़ता है। तो हम उसको प्रॉफिट को, टैक्स को एडजस्ट करने के हिसाब से अपनी मर्जी से कम ज़्यादा नहीं कर सकते हैं। होप दैट आंसर्स योर क्वेश्चन।
Okay. Right, sir. Thank you.
Okay, any,
What is his finance cost, sir?
please go ahead. Just mention your name and then you can raise your question.
Sir, this is Nitish. What is this finance cost?
राइट नितिश, फाइनेंस कॉस्ट इज इंटरेस्ट। तो अब देखो, हम बिजनेस में बिजनेस चलाने के लिए हम लोन लेते हैं, और हम दो तरह का लोन लेते हैं। एक हम प्रोजेक्ट के लिए लोन लेते हैं और एक वर्किंग कैपिटल के लिए लोन लेते हैं। तो प्रोजेक्ट के लिए लोन लें या वर्किंग कैपिटल के लिए लोन लें, जब भी हम लोन लेते हैं तो हमको उस पर इंटरेस्ट देना पड़ता है। तो इंटरेस्ट जो कॉस्ट है, हम उसको P&L में फाइनेंस कॉस्ट के नाम से दिखाते हैं। तो ये जो आप फाइनेंस कॉस्ट देख रहे हो, तो आप इसको दूसरे शब्दों में इंटरेस्ट समझ के ले सकते हो। सो दिस इज योर इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट। या
Sir, Puneet here. Sir, what is amortization?
ओके पुनीत, वेरी गुड। नाउ वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन पुनीत। नाउ देखो, अब ये सवाल कई बार आता है कि डेप्रीसिएशन क्या है और एमोर्टाइजेशन क्या है, दोनों में क्या फ़र्क है। सो लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड इट। देखो, इन आवर बिजनेस वी यूज़ टू काइंड्स ऑफ एसेट्स। हमारे बिजनेस में हम दो तरह की एसेट्स का इस्तेमाल करते हैं। कौन कौन सी दो तरह की एसेट्स का इस्तेमाल करते हैं? हम हमारे बिजनेस में एक एसेट होती है जिसको हम बोलते हैं टेंजिबल एसेट। एक एसेट होती है जिसको हम बोलते हैं टेंजिबल एसेट। टेंजिबल एसेट का क्या मतलब है? टेंजिबल एसेट का मतलब है एन एसेट दैट आई कैन टच, आई कैन फील एंड आई कैन सी, दैट इज टेंजिबल एसेट। सो बिल्डिंग है, प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट है, कंप्यूटर है, फर्नीचर है, ट्रेन है, एरोप्लेन है, शिप है, नाउ टूल्स हैं, जिग्स हैं, फिक्चर्स हैं। सो दीज आर ऑल एग्जाम्पल्स ऑफ टेंजिबल एसेट्स। And then we also have another category of the assets that we use in business that is known as intangible asset. Intangible asset क्या है? नेम है, ब्रांड नेम है, कॉपीराइट है, टेक्नोलॉजी है, सॉफ्टवेयर है ना, लोगो है। सो दीज आर ऑल एग्जाम्पल्स ऑफ पेटेंट है, डिज़ाइन है, टेक्नोलॉजी है। नाउ दीज आर ऑल एग्जाम्पल्स ऑफ intangible assets. Intangible asset कौन सी होती है? Intangible asset is an asset that I cannot touch, I cannot feel and I cannot see. But I'm using intangible assets पेटेंट में यूज़ करता हूँ, डिज़ाइन में यूज़ करता हूँ, लोगो में यूज़ करता हूँ, ट्रेडमार्क में यूज़ करता हूँ. सो ऑल दीज एसेट्स आर नोन एज इंटेंजिबल एसेट्स. अब जरा समझ के लीजिए कि कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है कि एक एसेट टेंजिबल है कि इंटेंजिबल है. सिंस आई एम यूजिंग इट इन माई बिजनेस, इस वैल्यू इज गोइंग डाउन, है ना. तो चूंकि एसेट को मैं बिल्डिंग यूज कर रहा हूं तो उसकी वैल्यू कम हो रही है. पेटेंट यूज कर रहा हूं तो उसकी वैल्यू कम हो रही है, क्योंकि पेटेंट की लाइफ कभी ना कभी तो खत्म होगी, तो उसकी भी वैल्यू कम हो रही है. तो टेंजिबल एसेट की वैल्यू कम हो रही है और इंटेंजिबल एसेट की भी वैल्यू कम हो रही है, बिकॉज आई एम यूजिंग देम इन माई बिजनेस. तो अब रिडक्शन in the value of a tangible asset is known as depreciation. Reduction in the value of a tangible asset is known as depreciation. And reduction in the value of an intangible asset is known as amortization. So this is the difference between the depreciation and amortization. Hope that answers your question.
Yes sir, yes sir.
Okay, good.
लेकिन सर एमोर्टाइजेशन ये बढ़ भी तो सकता है, क्योंकि पेटेंट्स हमने ज्यादा करवा लिए तो बढ़ गया,
हाँ.
गुडविल हमारी बढ़ गई तो हमारा एमोर्टाइजेशन बढ़ गया.
हाँ हाँ. ओके, वेरी गुड. नाउ ओके, अब देखो क्या होता है कि पेटेंट का एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं, है ना. पेटेंट का एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं. ऑल ऑफ यू प्लीज, सारे सभी लोग जरा ध्यान से सुने. पेटेंट एक कंपनी में दो तरह से आ सकता है ना. पेटेंट एज एन एसेट कैन कम इनटू द बिजनेस through two means. Number one, Tata Motors is in the business of making cars. So what Tata Motors is constantly working on through its research and development department, Tata Motors is constantly developing new designs of automobiles. So that is one way of doing it. Second way of doing it is that Tata Motors can also purchase a design from outside. So there are companies who do only designing work. So what they do, they do design new patent and then they sell them. Now please pay attention. दो तरीके से पेटेंट हमारी कंपनी में आ सकता है. एक तो हम इन हाउस डेवलप करें और दूसरा हम बाहर से परचेज करें. अब समझ के लीजिए, जब पेटेंट होगा तो उसकी कोई ना कोई तो लाइफ होगी. सो नो पेटेंट विल हैव अ इन्फिनाइट लाइफ. यानी कि हम कोई नया कार का मॉडल अगर हम डिज़ाइन करें तो वो कार का मॉडल 5 साल चलेगा, 10 साल चलेगा, उसके बाद में वो मॉडल हमको फेज आउट करना पड़ेगा. तो अगर वो मॉडल हम फेज आउट करते हैं तो इसका मतलब क्या हो गया? इसका मतलब ये हो गया कि वो पेटेंट की लाइफ 10 साल की है. 10 साल के बाद वो पेटेंट की कोई वैल्यू नहीं रहेगी, क्योंकि वो मॉडल पूरी तरह से मोनेटाइज हो चुका है, पूरी तरह से कमर्शलाइज हो चुका है. नाउ पे अटेंशन. टाटा मोटर्स ने एक पेटेंट इन हाउस डिज़ाइन किया, डेवलप किया, और उसके ऊपर टाटा मोटर्स ने 10 करोड़ रुपए का खर्च किया. तो ये पेटेंट इंटेंजिबल एसेट है और इसकी वैल्यू कितनी है? इसकी वैल्यू है 10 करोड़. अब अगर ये पेटेंट टाटा मोटर्स के जो मैनेजमेंट हैं वो सोचते हैं कि ये पेटेंट हम 10 साल तक इसको एनकैश कर सकते हैं, 10 साल के बाद ये मॉडल रिलेवेंट नहीं होगा तो इसको हमको फेज आउट करना पड़ेगा. इसका मतलब ये पेटेंट की लाइफ कितनी हो गई? 10 साल की हो गई. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब 10 करोड़ का इन्वेस्टमेंट और 10 साल की लाइफ. तो ये पेटेंट को अगर हम 10 साल तक यूज़ करेंगे, इसका मतलब हर साल की हमारी कॉस्ट कितनी हो गई यूज़ ऑफ दिस पेटेंट? 1 करोड़. सो पहले साल में कॉस्ट की, उसकी एसेट्स की वैल्यू, पेटेंट की वैल्यू कितनी है? 10 करोड़. 1 करोड़ एक साल में 1 करोड़ निकल गया. अब वैल्यू कितनी बची? 9 करोड़. दूसरे साल में वैल्यू कितनी बचेगी? 8 करोड़, फिर 7 करोड़, फिर 6 करोड़. सो दिस इज हाउ द वैल्यू ऑफ अ पेटेंट विल कीप ऑन रिड्यूसिंग एंड नॉट इंक्रीजिंग. आई होप दैट आंसर्स योर क्वेश्चन.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, I can take one last question before we go to the next topic. Any other question?
Sir, is there any thumb rule to know about the good or bad profit margin of any of the company? Is there any thumb rule?
Yeah,
Thumb rule,
okay.
it should be 10%, 5%.
Can you please just mention your name?
Sir, Anshu.
Okay, अंशु, वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन, वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. नाउ अब ये जो सवाल है बहुत अच्छा सवाल है, एंड ये सवाल का आंसर हम अगले कुछ सेशंस में लेने वाले हैं. तो हम समझ के लेंगे कि क्या कोई थंब रूल है, अगर है तो क्या है, और नहीं है तो आपका जो क्वेश्चन मैं समझ रहा हूँ, आपका क्वेश्चन ये है कि भाई ये कैसे मालूम पड़े कि ये कंपनी अच्छा कर रही है या ये कंपनी अच्छा नहीं कर रही है, तो क्या उसके लिए थंब रूल है. तो अगर थंब रूल नहीं है तो हम कैसे मालूम करेंगे. तो हम लोग अभी वो जो अगला केस स्टडी है उस पर जा रहे हैं, और वहाँ से ये जो आपका सवाल है उसका आंसर आपको वहाँ से मिल जाएगा. पार्टली वहाँ से मिल जाएगा, पार्टली जब हम तीसरे दिन में आएंगे और बात करेंगे कि प्रॉफिट एंड ये फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स को कैसे पढ़ा जाता है, तो उस समय जो ये बाकी का जो आपका सवाल बचेगा वो वहाँ पर आंसर हो जाएगा. बट योर क्वेश्चन विल डेफिनेटली गेट आंसर्ड, आंशु. यप, वेरी गुड फ्रेंड्स. So now we all understand. Now मैं I am just closing this. इसको मैं बंद कर रहा हूँ और now I am going to the next slide. What I am going to do friends, अब मैं आपके साथ में एक केस स्टडी शेयर करने वाला हूँ, और उस केस स्टडी में मैं आपको 3 वेंडर्स के नंबर देने वाला हूँ. अब हमें एक बात तो क्लियर हो गई कि हमको समझ गया कि ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट क्या है, हमको समझ गया कि एबिडा क्या है, हमको समझ गया ईबीआईटी क्या है, हमको समझ गया ईबीटी क्या है, और हमको ये भी समझ गया कि ईएटी क्या है. सो वी हैव अंडरस्टूड एज टू व्हाट ऑल दीज आर, राइट. So we have understood what is EAT, what is gross profit, what is COGS, and what is EBIT and what is EAT. पर मेरा ये कहना है friends, it is good to know कि gross profit क्या है, it is good to know EBITDA क्या है, it is good to know EBIT क्या है, EBT क्या है और EAT क्या है. पर उससे भी ज़्यादा जो इम्पोर्टेंट है वो ये कि इनका यूज़ कैसे किया जाए, इनका इस्तेमाल कैसे किया जाए, हाउ टू मेक यूज़ ऑफ इट, हाउ टू मेक यूज़ ऑफ दिस. एंड उसके लिए मैं आई एम गोइंग टू शेयर विद यू अ स्मॉल केस स्टडी, एंड वो केस स्टडी से हम चर्चा करेंगे. उससे पहले लेट मी आस्क यू वन क्वेश्चन. यू नो व्हाट इज टॉप लाइन? Anyone? You know what is top line? Everybody? Anyone who does not know what is top line?
Sales.
Sales. Very good. Anyone who does not know what is bottom line? Anyone who does not know what is bottom line? Okay. So,
Earning after tax.
very good. Earning after tax is your bottom line. Okay, fantastic. So my question to all of you, before we come to the case study, my question to all of you कि एक कंपनी है, उस कंपनी की टॉप लाइन 40% से ग्रो हो रही है, और उसकी जो बॉटम लाइन है यानी कि उसका जो नेट प्रॉफिट है, इट इज ग्रोइंग एट द रेट ऑफ 30%. माई क्वेश्चन टू यू इज इट अ गुड साइन और बैड साइन?
टीम को रूम्स में डिवाइड करना है क्या?
हाँ, टीम्स को रूम में डिवाइड करना है. यस नीरज. अभी ये एक 10 मिनट के बाद कर सकते हैं. आई विल फर्स्ट एक्सप्लेन द केस टू देम एंड देन वी विल डिवाइड. है ना? सो once I explain the case, then we will do the division of teams into different parts. Okay, very good. So question to all of you कि एक कंपनी है, आपका एक वेंडर है, और उसकी वो वेंडर की आपने टॉप लाइन देखी, वो टॉप लाइन 40% से ग्रो हो रही है. यानी कि लास्ट ईयर उसका 1 करोड़ का टर्नओवर था, ये साल में 1.4 करोड़ का टर्नओवर हो गया. तो टॉप लाइन इज ग्रोइंग एट द रेट ऑफ 40%. बॉटम लाइन इज ग्रोइंग एट द रेट ऑफ 30%. Is it a good sign or bad sign? Anyone and everyone?
Good sign, sir.
Good sign or bad sign?
Good sign.
Bad sign.
Bad sign.
Bad sign. Sir, it's a bad sign with respect to other example.
Okay, very good. So that means some of you are saying good sign, some of you are saying bad sign, which is understandable. Now let me ask you another question. दूसरा वेंडर है, उस वेंडर की टॉप लाइन इज ग्रोइंग एट द रेट ऑफ 30% एंड बॉटम लाइन इज ग्रोइंग एट द रेट ऑफ 40%, ये वेंडर के बारे में आपका क्या सोचना है? गुड साइन और बैड साइन?
गुड साइन सर, गुड साइन.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign. And all of you saying it's a good sign is again a very good sign, because that means whatever I have discussed with you, it is understood fully. Very good. Now friends, let's move forward. And अब हम क्या करेंगे? अब हम एक केस स्टडी लेंगे और केस स्टडी से एनालाइज करेंगे. 3 वेंडर के नंबर देने वाला हूँ मैं आपको, और 3 वेंडर के नंबर आपको स्क्रीन पे दिखाऊंगा. अगर आपने हार्ड कॉपी अगर निकाली हुई है तो आप ये नंबर हार्ड कॉपी में भी कॉपी कर सकते हैं, अदरवाइज इट्स फाइन. लेकिन एक काम जरूर करिए, आपके पास में एक कागज़ और पेन जरूर रख के लीजिए, ताकि आपको जो भी आप सोच रहे हैं उसके आप नोट्स बना सकेंगे और वो नोट्स को उस कागज़ पे लिख सकेंगे, ताकि जब आपको शेयर करना होगा तो आप शेयर कर सकेंगे. ओके, सो नाउ फ्रेंड्स, व्हाट आई एम डूइंग इज आई एम शोइंग टू यू नंबर्स ऑफ 3 वेंडर्स ऑफ योर्स, है ना. तो ये देखो, ये पहले वेंडर के नंबर हैं. दीज आर दी नंबर्स ऑफ वेंडर ए ऑफ योर कंपनी, एंड देन दिस इज नंबर ऑफ वेंडर बी ऑफ द कंपनी, and this is vendor C of the company. So अब आपको ये 3 वेंडर्स के नंबर दिए हुए हैं आपको स्क्रीन के ऊपर, और मैं ये आपको स्लाइड फिर से दिखाऊंगा. अगर आपने हार्ड कॉपी ली हुई है तो आप चाहें तो ये नंबर्स को, वो जो आपकी जो वर्कबुक की जो कॉपी है, पेज है, उसमें आप चाहें तो ये नंबर्स को क्विकली कॉपी कर लीजिए. शुड नॉट टेक यू मोर देन 20 सेकेंड्स. ये जो नंबर हैं, वेंडर ए, वेंडर बी, वेंडर सी, ये तीनों के नंबर, सेल्स का नंबर है, ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट, एबिडा, EBIT. खाली आपको एक चीज़ याद रखनी है दोस्तों, यू हैव टू रिमेंबर वन थिंग. ये जो नंबर आप स्क्रीन पर देख रहे हो, ये नंबर एब्सोल्यूट नंबर नहीं है. दीज आर परसेंटेज इंक्रीज ओवर द प्रीवियस ईयर. तो ये जो नंबर आप देख रहे हो कंपनी ए और बी और सी, उनका एब्सोल्यूट नंबर नहीं है. दीज आर परसेंटेज इंक्रीज ओवर दी लास्ट ईयर. क्या मतलब है कहने का? कहने का मतलब ये है कि कंपनी ए की सेल्स जो 30 दिख रही है, तो ये 30 करोड़ नहीं है, ये 30 लाख नहीं है, ये 30% है. यानी कि लास्ट ईयर कंपनी ए की जो सेल्स थी वो 100 करोड़ की थी, ये साल में वो सेल्स बढ़ के 130 करोड़ हो गई. दैट मीन्स कंपनी ए की सेल्स हैज इंक्रीज बाय 30%. लाइकवाइज कंपनी ए का जो नेट प्रॉफिट है, नेट इनकम है, EAT है, अर्निंग आफ्टर टैक्स है, जो आप बॉटम में देख रहे हैं, वो 50 दिख रहा है. तो इसका क्या मतलब है? इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि कंपनी ए का नेट प्रॉफिट 50 करोड़ है. नो, इट मीन्स कंपनी एज लास्ट ईयर्स नेट प्रॉफिट वॉज 1 करोड़. This year the profit increased to 1.5 crore. That means there is an increase of 50% in the net income of company A. And that is, friends, what you should remember. These are not absolute figures. These are just percentage increase over the last year. So I'm sure all of you would have copied these numbers. नाउ अब आपको क्या करना है? आपको ये नंबर्स को अब हम है ना ग्रुप बनाएंगे. अब क्या करेंगे, जो पूरे पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं उनको हम 3 ग्रुप्स में डिवाइड करेंगे, और 3 ग्रुप्स में डिवाइड करेंगे, और आपको क्या करना है? एज ए ग्रुप यू हैव टू डिस्कस इन योर अमंग योर सेल्फ. और ये जो नंबर आपको दिए हैं, ये 3 वेंडर्स के A, B एंड C, ये तीनों वेंडर्स के नंबर को आपको आपस में स्टडी करना है, और स्टडी करके आपको ये बताना है कि आपके हिसाब से ये तीनों वेंडर में किसकी ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी है, किसकी फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी है, और किसकी ओवरऑल परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी है. सो दिस इज व्हाट you have to discuss in your group, and you have to conclude एंड देन वी विल डिस्कस इट टुगेदर एंड एनालाइज करेंगे और देखेंगे कि भाई किसका रिस्पॉन्स, किसका आंसर सही है, किसका आंसर कम सही है, किसका ज़्यादा सही है. दैट इज़ व्हाट वी विल डू. ओके, सो
So basically, I already created groups.
uh-huh.
So there are 3 groups,
Hmm.
and for every group there are names already assigned.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody joined late and they don't find their name into any group,
Mm-hmm.
they can just wait. Otherwise, you can join into that groups,
Hmm.
and wherever you find that you need some help, you can directly bring Neeraj or me, because being Pramod sir is outsider joining for this team, so we will request Pramod sir to join your team that time. Okay, so I think the link is already there in the chat box. Please click the link based on your names and start it. Sir, what is the time allowed?
Okay, so the time allowed for this is 10 minutes.
So it's right now 11:25.
नहीं.
So 11.
हाँ, अभी एक 5 मिनट और गजानन थोड़ा सा और एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ एंड उसके बाद में हाँ 5. अभी देखो 11:24 है. 11:30 पे हम ये ब्रेकआउट ग्रुप्स करेंगे. तब तक मैं उनको थोड़ा और आइडिया दे देता हूँ सो दैट एवरीबडी इज ऑन द सेम पेज, है ना. एवरीबडी इज ऑन द सेम पेज. ओके, नाउ ऑल ऑफ यू, इज इट क्लियर टू एवरीवन? सबको क्लियर है कि आपको क्या करना है? आप सभी को 3 वेंडर्स के नंबर दिए गए हैं. आप सभी को 3 वेंडर्स के नंबर दिए हैं एंड वो नंबर ये नंबर है ना. आपको क्या करना है? ये नंबर्स को अपने अपने ग्रुप में डिस्कस करना है और डिस्कस करके आपको ये मालूम करना है आपस में चर्चा करके कि किस वेंडर की ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी है, किस वेंडर की फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी है और किस वेंडर की ओवरऑल परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी है. ये आपको आपस में डिस्कस करना है. बिफोर वी ब्रेक अवे इनटू ग्रुप्स, लेट मी आस्क ऑल ऑफ यू कि अगर आपको ये वेंडर्स की ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस चेक करनी है तो आप क्या क्या चीज़ें देखेंगे? व्हाट फैक्टर्स विल यू टेक इनटू अकाउंट फॉर coming to a conclusion about operational performance of a vendor? All of you.
Sales and gross profit. EBIT.
Sales and gross profit, very good. EBIT, okay, very good, very good, okay. And अगर आपको financial, yeah, please go ahead,
EBITDA.
EBITDA also, very good, very nice, very good. अगर आपको ये तीनों वेंडर्स की फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस इवैल्यूएट करनी है तो आप क्या करेंगे? इफ़ यू हैव टू इवैल्यूएट ये तीनों जो वेंडर्स के नंबर आपको दिए हैं, अगर आपको ये जजमेंट लेना है कि ये तीनों वेंडर्स में से किस वेंडर की फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस सबसे ज़्यादा बेहतर है, तो उसके लिए आप कौन कौन से फैक्टर्स को अकाउंट फॉर करेंगे? EBITDA and PBT. Okay, very nice, very nice. And what factors will you take into account for overall performance?
EAT.
Net profit. Very good.
EAT.
Okay, very good. So now what we will do before we break out, है ना, हम इससे पहले हम break out करें, let you all of you first do the analysis by yourself. तो ग्रुप एनालिसिस करने से पहले ऑल ऑफ यू, आई एम गिविंग यू टाइम ऑफ 6 minutes and 30 seconds. 6.5 मिनट का टाइम दे रहा हूँ मैं आपको. तो 6.5 मिनट में प्लीज गो थ्रू ऑल दी 3 कंपनीज नंबर्स एंड कम टू योर ओन कंक्लूजन. आपके हिसाब से कौन सी कंपनी की ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी है, कौन सी कंपनी की फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी है और कौन सी कंपनी की ओवरऑल परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी है. सो यू हैव अ टाइम ऑफ 6.5 minutes बिफोर वी ब्रेक इनटू द ग्रुप्स. पहले अपना कर लीजिए सो दैट यू नो व्हेन यू ब्रेक आउट इनटू द ग्रुप्स यू विल बी एबल टू बी मोर वोकल you would be you because you will have better idea about it. So 6.5 मिनट का समय मैं आपको दे रहा हूँ. मेरी घड़ी में भी 11:28 हैं, तो 11:34 पे आई विल आस्क यू. इन द मीन टाइम अगर आपको कोई डाउट आता है तो वो आप मुझसे पूछ सकते हैं. सो कीप ऑन सॉल्विंग, कीप ऑन इवेल्युएटिंग ऑल ऑफ यू, everyone, and if any one of you is getting any doubt, you can of course ask me. And so you have a time of 6 minutes and 30 seconds in the meantime, or maybe I think and a half minutes will be more. Let me reduce it. So I'm giving you a time of 3.5 minutes. 3.5 मिनट का समय दे रहा हूँ, which is I think more than enough for you to come to your own conclusions. And I will like that at this point in time all 30 of you must give your views. जब मैं आपसे पूछूंगा तो आप सभी को बताना है, ब्रीफ में बताइए, एकदम ब्रीफ में, कि ए ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस ए का अच्छा है, फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस सी का अच्छा है, और वट एवर इट मे बी एक्चुअली. बट ऑल ऑफ यू मस्ट गिव मी द आंसर. Everyone has to give me the answer after 3.5 minutes, and then we will break out. Any question, any doubt, any one of you may have in the meantime, please feel free to ask me. I'm sure every one of you is very clear as to what is COGS. Every one of you is very clear what is gross profit, and everyone is also very clear as to what is EBITDA, and what is the significance of EBITDA, and you're also clear as to what is the EBIT, which is earning before interest and tax, also known as operating profit. You're also clear about the EBT, earning before tax, and EAT, earning after tax. तो ये जो सारी टर्म्स हैं, this is what you would need for this case study, and also for the case studies that we are going to do on subsequent days. Gajanan, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm done.
Acha, now, when we do the breakout and join those groups, I suppose we still remain connected with the main presentation, Gajanan?
Yes, yes. After this room breakout,
Mhm.
everybody needs to join this one because this will be resume. They have to resume this because when they join the other group,
Uh-huh.
this presentation will remain as a hold.
Okay. Okay.
So they need not to log out.
Right, right.
And
So,
request for all participants that whenever Mr. Jain, whenever you find Mr. Jain in the lobby, please please press the allow button. So is it okay right now? Are you breaking out?
no, no. Abhi, now they are all analyzing the three vendors by themselves, and first we will have their personal assessment, and after they have given the personal assessments, then we will go for the group evaluation or group assessment of the vendors. So at the moment it is individual activity, that is now for now, and after a few minutes it's going to be group activity. Okay, so that means if any one of them or if I join any of the group, we still remain connected with the main presentation, and when we exit that breakout group, we come back automatically to this main presentation.
Sir, can you share that main screen
Yeah. Okay.
with the figures of sales and EBITDA and all that?
Yes.
With the figures.
So previous slide.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay. Can you see it now clearly?
No, sir.
No.
But that sales figure, then gross profit figures.
Please select earlier slide.
Is that okay?
No, no, sir. Earlier slide which you have shown.
So
Where you explain all these sales, gross profit and EBITDA.
This one?
This one.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. 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 Sure.
These slides basically available with you.
Yes.
Whatever PDF I already shared with you. So if you are in doubt, you can refer
No,
that.
that PDF is there, but figures are not there in that PDF.
Oh, figures. No, no. These figures are not important. These figures are in this slide. The figures which are given are of no consequence. This is for a different purpose altogether.
Yeah, I understood.
Yeah. So these figures are. Don't worry about these figures. Can I take you to the main slide now?
Yeah.
Okay. So now your time is over. Please tell me, all of you, one by one, as to which vendor is doing good operationally, which vendor is doing good financially, and which vendor is doing good on overall basis. All of you, one by one, and you can just be brief. Just be brief so that
Operational performance A and B.
operational A and B. Okay, very good. Financial
C.
C. Very good. And let's see what else.
Overall A.
Overall A. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sir, Prakash this side.
Yes, Prakash.
I think company C is doing good in respect with all 3 points.
Very good, Prakash.
Overall, this financial.
Very good, Prakash. Very good. Okay. Okay. Very good. Who else?
Sir, Nitesh here.
Yes, Nitesh.
I think operating performance and financial performance of company C is good, and the overall performance of company A is good.
overall performance of company A is good. Okay, good, Nitesh. Who else?
Hello, Sajid here. What I want to say basically,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please go
hello.
ahead.
So what I want to say basically is the sales or revenue is on a percentage basis. So if we can take absolute value, considering A, B, C both have a previous year revenue as 100, and if we the sales should be 130, 130, 130 or 120, and based on that, if we can find out on the absolute basis, then it can be the results might be different.
No, no. The numbers that you have on your screen are not absolute number for any of the line item. All the numbers that you
But
see
if the
are all.
absolute, then we can.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I think if numbers are absolute, then it can be we can figure out which is having a better operational performance, which is having better financial performance, and which is having overall performance. That's what I'm trying to say.
ओके ओके आपका ये कहना है कि अगर ये इंडाइसेस होने के बजाय अगर ये एब्सोल्यूट नंबर होते थे तो आपको ज़्यादा आसान होता था कंक्लूड करने में. इज दैट व्हाट यू आर सजेस्टिंग?
Right.
Okay. Now I can tell you, based on experience, it would be very difficult.
But sir,
because you will have to. क्या होता है when you are making a comparison?
Financial performance, and A is having a best overall.
A is having best overall. Okay, good, very good. Okay, friends. Now, anyone else would like to reply? We can have two more replies, and then go to the next. Okay. Now, friends, let me share with you some additional information. Now, if I have to, let me give you some additional input before we do the breakout. So, if we have to do the evaluation of operating performance, what factors do I take into account? So, अगर मुझे किसी कंपनी की ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है अगर ये चेक करना हो तो आई विल लुक एट टू थिंग्स. नंबर वन, is the sales of that company increasing? And number two, are the expenses of that company decreasing or under control? तो अगर एक कंपनी की सेल्स इंक्रीज हो रही है और उसके जो एक्सपेंसेस हैं either they are decreasing or they are in control, I can safely say that this company is doing well operationally. अब अगर मुझे किसी कंपनी की फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस इवेल्यूएट करनी है, हाउ द कंपनी इज डूइंग वेल, हाउ द कंपनी इज डूइंग फाइनेंशियली, व्हाट विल आई टेक इनटू अकाउंट? सबसे पहले मैं देखूंगा कि जो जिस वेंडर के नंबर में चेक कर रहा हूं, हाउ इज द ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ दैट वेंडर. समझ के लीजिए, पूरी दुनिया में जब तक कोई कंपनी की ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी नहीं है उस कंपनी की फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी नहीं हो सकती. तो किसी भी कंपनी की फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी हो, इसके लिए सबसे पहले ज़रूरी बात यह है कि उसकी ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस साउंड होनी चाहिए. सो सबसे पहले मैं देखूंगा कि कंपनी की ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है. उसके बाद देन आई विल लुक एट व्हाट इज हैपनिंग टू द इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट, कि कंपनी की इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट कंट्रोल में है या डिक्रीज हो रही है. तो अगर कंपनी की इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट कंट्रोल में है या फिर डिक्रीज हो रही है तो मैं सेफली बोल सकता हूं कि ये दिस इज अ गुड साइन. एंड थर्डली व्हाट आई विल सी इज डिक्रीज इन टैक्सेस, यानी कि कंपनी के टैक्सेस की क्या पोजीशन है. इज द कंपनी पेइंग मोर टैक्सेस और इज द कंपनी पेइंग लेस टैक्सेस? तो अगर एक कंपनी टैक्स कम पे कर रही है या उसकी जो टैक्स की अमाउंट है वो कंट्रोल में है, देन आई कैन से दैट कंपनीज फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस इज गुड. So for evaluating financial performance of a vendor of mine, मैं तीन चीज़ें देखूंगा कि उसकी ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है, उसकी इंटरेस्ट की कॉस्ट कैसी है और उसकी टैक्स की पोजीशन कैसी है. दिस इज व्हाट आई विल लुक एट फॉर द फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस. नाउ फॉर द ओवरऑल परफॉर्मेंस, सबसे पहले मैं देखूंगा हाउ इज द फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस. Unless and until a company is doing well financially, it cannot do well on overall basis. And number two, what will I see is the company adding more assets? याद रखिए, दुनिया में कोई भी बिजनेस स्टैग्नेशन के लिए शुरू नहीं होता है. All the businesses are set up to grow. All over the world, whoever sets up a business, he is setting up the business with an intent to grow. And how the growth can happen, how the company can grow only by adding more assets. So I will also check कि ये company is it adding more assets. So अगर एक company is doing well financially and is also adding more assets, I can say that this company is doing well on overall basis also. So this is how, friends, you can evaluate these three vendors. The numbers are with you. कि उन तीनों में से ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस किसकी अच्छी है, फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस किसकी अच्छी है और ओवरऑल परफॉर्मेंस किसकी अच्छी है. एंड फॉर दिस आई एम गोइंग टू गिव यू अ टाइम ऑफ 10 minutes. For 10 minutes you discuss in your own groups, and after 10 minutes all of you will come back, and then we will look at your responses, and then finally I will give my input as to how globally दुनिया भर में फाइनेंशियल एनालिस्ट, merchant bankers, investment analysts, finance controllers, how they look at these numbers, for performance evaluation. So Gajanan, now we can break out.
So one request for everybody: don't leave this meeting. Okay, keeping this meeting live. You just click on the link and join as per your group. And please follow the times, because it is physically we don't know where you are, so it is very difficult for you to bring back to the session by calling you, but you have to come on your own at 11:55.
Correct. Okay? Perfect.
So start. Yeah, thanks.
Perfect.
12:50. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good. So I'm in your group now. So you can please discuss among yourself. All of you can. आप सभी लोग अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर लें और फ्रीली डिस्कस करें कि आपने जो इनपुट दिया है वो क्या इनपुट है, और बाकी सब लोग का इनपुट कलेक्ट करें. आई एम देयर इन योर ग्रुप नाउ.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead. Discuss.
As we have seen that operational performance depends on the increase in sales and decrease in expenses. That means the company which has EBITDA more will be the operationally more performance oriented. So operationally C is good.
Yes, same thing.
Operationally C is good. I'm having a negative opinion on this. In the sense, it's not a negative. Just for the purpose of discussion, I am giving a negative point. That in some business cases, the revenue or the expense, the revenue may be increased, but the input may be constant. Why? Because he may be a proprietary, so in the market you want to play a good thing. So in that the revenue will increase, but the input expenses will be keep on increasing. And one more thing, sales wise, if you say last year if he sold some 10 goods, this year also he will sold 10 goods only, but he will change his strategy in his product point of view, but his revenue will increase. proprietary business many cases. So we cannot able to justify the proprietary suppliers most of the times.
But in the case that it has been given, so we have like sales is growing by 30%, 30% and 20%, while the EBITDA is growing by 25, 25 and 30%. So when the EBITDA is more, that means he has increased the sales by 20% and he has increased his earnings before income, interest, taxes, depreciation and amortization by 30%. So operationally, he has gained more. His manufacturing expenses, his material expenses, his SG&A all gone, then he has been at a 30% higher. So that is why operationally he is good. So see, that is why operationally is good.
उसने एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सेल्स और वो जो अदर एक्सपेंसेस है वो भी उसने कम किया. इसकी वजह से सी का जो है कंडीशन अभी 30% लास्ट ईयर की कंपैरिजन में उसका इंक्रीज हुआ है. दैट वाई सी इज बेटर देन ऑपरेशनल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू.
He has controlled its expenses.
Yes, control or maybe decrease.
Yeah, yes.
And one more point, EBT is 40%. It means they pay tax liability. I mean say EBT.
EBT is increasing by 40%.
Earning before interest.
Yeah, earning before interest is increasing by 40%. So all the numbers which you have with you now, they are percentage increase over the last year. है ना? So 30% sales, 30% means this year the sales has increased by 30%. And in case of company A, and company A, earning after tax is 50. That means company A's earning after tax has increased by 50%.
So that's what I'm telling.
Yeah.
If EBT is 40%, it means he pay more taxes, and because the investment is more. Because after the EBIT is cost, and it means taxation cost, but he pay more tax. It means his plan of investing some more assets in his portfolio.
Okay.
So that's why he pay more tax. So as per my opinion, financial performance is good because he is investing more assets and to increase the businesses. And overall performance is also good because he invests money and enlarge his portfolio. It will get more chance to make money or to serve society. That is from my side. So I think company C is in overall all the three aspects
Very
rather than one.
Correct.
Okay, so I think I think your discussion is going on the absolutely right track. आपका जो discussion है वो सही direction में जा रहा है. और at 11:55, okay, maybe I think we will extend the time by 5 minutes more. So at 12 o'clock, you can finish your discussion and check out and come back to the main presentation. Before doing that, आप में से किसी एक को डिसाइड करिए जो कि आपके ग्रुप की जो कंक्लूजन है सबके साथ में शेयर करेंगे. So one of you will share your conclusion with everyone. Is it okay? Yeah. Yes. And I'm
we are having two types of taxes in our day-to-day activities. Like direct material, whenever we are procuring, that is one tax, and when we are selling, that is another tax. So this tax compensation will happen. So if I am investing, capital investment, if I am doing, whatever the tax we are getting, this also will notify in the sense in the final balance sheet, or it will show as a separate increase the tax. Whatever I am paying to the government, whatever I am paying to the...
So this is what you are discussing in your group, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If the tax paying
I will.
finally increasing.
I'm exiting your group now, and go to the next group. Actually, is that okay?
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So overall, A क्यों नहीं अच्छा है? Means A का तो profit EAT is 50. Why we are saying C?
Since it is the percentage of sales to earning after tax.
Maybe we are saying C because the financial position of C is good as compared to. I think financial C is good. Overall A is.
Actually, it should be A because the sales increase is 30% and EAT is also 50%. So we cannot go with C.
Okay.
Hi Neeraj. हेलो. गुड. ठीक चल रहा है. ओके. अच्छा ये ना इसका टाइम बढ़ाते हैं ब्रेकआउट का. 10 मिनट शायद कम पड़ेंगे. तो अभी वी कैन इंक्रीज इट बाय अनदर 10 मिनट्स. है ना, अनदर 10 मिनट्स. सो वी सेड अर्लियर वी सेड 11:55, सो वी कैन मेक इट 12:05. है ना. ओके. Yeah, sure, Neeraj.
You can just divide like 30 by like 20 by 50 or 25 by 45.
Yes, I agree.
So I am also here.
You want to say it is C and for overall basis it is A.
I want to share a good news with all of you. Your discussion time is increased by 10 minutes.
Yeah, overall financial C.
Yeah. Hello friends. This is Pramod here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So no, just a good news for you that your discussion time is increased by 10 minutes. So you have more time for discussion. And please continue.
Okay, sir. In such case, can we have some ratios which we can plot over here, like sales versus profit ratio, sales versus EBITDA ratio, so that we can have some fact figures while justifying our selection of a company.
प्रमोद सर, और एक डाउट है.
Please.
For checking the operational efficiency, should we see gross profit or EBIT or both?
Yeah. See, your EBIT is your earning before interest and tax, है ना. और so that means EBIT के जब वो जो है वो आपका ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट है. तो आप फॉर ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस के लिए यू कैन टेक इन टू अकाउंट ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट, यू कैन टेक इन टू अकाउंट EBITDA, एंड यू कैन ऑल्सो टेक इन टू अकाउंट EBIT, all three. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
So आप है ना, देखो क्या है, अंशुल राइट. ओके. देखो बहुत अल्टीमेटली यू हैव टू इवेल्युएट द ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस. सो दैट मीन्स ऑल द फैक्टर्स विच आर कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटिंग टू द ऑपरेशंस, दोज आर टू बी टेकन इन टू अकाउंट. सो योर ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट इज योर ऑपरेशनल फिगर, EBITDA is your operational figure, EBIT is your operational figure. So all these figures you will take into account for evaluating your operating performance.
check the financial performance, it should be EBITDA and EBIT, right,
Yeah.
sir? Or EAT.
Yeah, for financial performance, it will be both EBT and EAT.
EBT and EAT.
Yeah, both.
Okay.
Right.
EBITDA will not play a role, is it?
Yeah, because EBITDA, see, EBITDA will have a role, no doubt about it. Because अगर आपको याद हो तो हमने क्या कहा कि फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस को एवेल्युएट करने के लिए कंपनी का ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस अच्छा होना चाहिए. So everything will be, you follow me. So in case of financial performance, everything will be taken into account. Additionally, you will take into account EBT and EAT also. And for the overall performance, remember what did I say? For the overall performance, I said financial performance has to be good, plus company should add more assets. अब वो आपको फाइंड आउट करना है, ये जो नंबर आपके सामने हैं उनको स्टडी करके फाइंड आउट करना है कि कौन सा कंपनी इनमें से नए एसेट्स ऐड कर रही है. दैट इज व्हाट यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट. एंड नाउ यू हैव टाइम टिल 12:05. So you still have 6 more minutes. Please carry on your discussion. I will exit and join some other group. Thank you. Enjoy discussing. Enjoy discussing.
अंशु ना आप एक कर सकते हैं क्या? कैन यू जस्ट क्विकली प्लॉट द रेशियोस?
Okay.
And that logic is also see, and let's see, sir.
No, so for our understanding, I'll just repeat what we have finalized. Operational performance of a company, C, right? Yes. Question is because the EBITDA is 30, right?
Correct. Then financial performance is good.
Financial performance also C because your EBT is, we are saying that EBT is maximum for C, right?
Correct.
And
Can you take help of Pramod sir because he is here now? Sir, in case of overall performance, we are stuck up between A and C.
Okay, good. Very good. Now see, how do you figure out the overall performance? There are two factors that you have to take into account for overall performance. Now this is a very tricky question. This is a very tricky question, which is where you need to apply your mind and find out. Overall performance के दो factor हैं. Number one, financial performance, and number two, addition of new assets. So that is what you need to figure out. Look at these numbers carefully, and if you apply your mind to these numbers, something should give you an idea. Because of this particular figure, I feel this company has added more assets. And I can give you a clue. The clue is, look at the figure of depreciation and amortization. Okay. Look at the figure of...
What it said was right.
Yeah. So look at the figure of depreciation and amortization. That will give you an idea कि किस कंपनी ने और assets add करी हैं. Please remember, for any business, what is crucial is to add more assets. क्योंकि दुनिया में कोई भी business शुरू करता है, his objective is not to remain static. His objective is not to remain stagnant. He is always wanting to grow. And he can grow when? He can grow only when he is adding more assets. So that is where your answer lies as to which company has added more assets. And this is, look at, and
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. I gave you a good clue to find the answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Good.
Yes, it was the leading clue, sir. Thank you.
Good. So you still have 2 more minutes, and after you have 2 more minutes, and then you can join the main presentation. And in the meantime, decide someone to share on your behalf. So one of you, I'm going to ask all the groups one by one to share conclusion of their groups. So you can nominate someone from your group who will be speaking on behalf of your group actually. Is that fine?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So Nitesh, your logic was correct actually. So I think the overall performance of the company we should go with A.
So now I have that different opinion also. Like say what Pramod sir is suggesting, if any new asset, which like increase in assets, and like increase in depreciation amortization cost. So when we look at to C performance, EBITDA minus EBIT, then he added 5. And we look at the performance of A, he added 3 assets. What I just said. Then that case, 5 is C is the correct answer. I think so.
I also
To the asset, it's again C.
Okay?
Yeah, okay, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So should we join the main group?
Yes, we
Yeah.
yeah.
All the answers are C, if I'm not wrong, right? So before we join, you please confirm. Whatever I noted is C is the answer for all cases. In all cases, C is the correct answer.
Okay, so
Yes.
yeah.
By whatever logic you have finalized.
Yeah. So good, very good. Share your logic also with everyone as to how you have come to this conclusion. So I'm exiting your group now.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.